one of the things that you talked about, the question earlier, talking about biases, obviously we all have biases. I think I still remember the class you taught on this years ago, actually, Kevin, a long time ago. But one of the things you spoke about, and we've had that in training before many times, is, we all come from different backgrounds, and we all have biases, whether we know it or not. And half the battle is, recognizing that we have those biases. Our big thing, is we've tried to change our culture over the years, and tried to get better with training, and tried to address, how we're treating people, every day on every call. One of the big, as our culture has really evolved to a point where we're really trying to, use something that's called unconditional respect for everyone that we deal with. And unconditional respect recognizes that every person that we're dealing with on calls, whether they're in crisis or, having a bad day or a good day, you yourself, the officers you're working with, we're all capable of good things and bad things. And most of all, we're in, the common denominator with everyone that we work with and that we deal with in the public on their best day and on their worst day. Because, police officers see, folks on their worst days, their worst days. And sometimes we get to see people many times on their best days. But the common denominator is that we're all human. And we're all human beings, and unconditional respect means that, even when we're dealing with someone who's in crisis or in their worst day or doing sometimes awful things, no matter where they've come from, it's recognizing that it's a human being that we're dealing with, and that they deserve and always deserve that basic respect and acknowledgement that we're meeting on our journey through life. But we're both human. It's just a fundamental thing. I was in training for a long time and read a lot of articles on use of force, and when, sometimes when officers are attacked, and a common denominator when you go back and look at that incident, especially the really violent incidents on law enforcement, it's almost always a feeling that there's a lack of respect, that the officer didn't give them respect. It's such a huge thing. And we all, have had experiences where someone, didn't give us basic respect or, didn't treat us. It's a huge thing. And everyone deserves that, no matter what where they come from or what they're dealing with, good, bad, and otherwise. Everyone deserves that basic respect. And once you kind of acknowledge that, it's amazing how, our training has come to show them a respect, listen to what their needs are, and give them a voice. And it's a big deal.
Steer kind of covered a lot of it as far as, it's one of their core values, where he's talking about dignity, respect. I don't know, what are the core values? There's 7 of them, isn't there?
Those are 2 big ones right there.
Dignity, respect, empathy,
teamwork, integrity, and then there's a couple others that we're leaving out.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
So those are the big things. And you see that with, any of the people that I've worked with, they see some really challenging things. And it's a lot. Like it really is. That's probably what's opened my eyes more than anything in the past 3 years, is people, often have this like horrible mindset about law enforcement, that all their goal is to like arrest people or do things like that. But when you're like on the streets there with them, like you're seeing more car wrecks, people in crisis, people hurt, people injured, crimes from somebody to somebody else, like more than you're seeing somebody just flat out getting arrested. Like I can promise you that there's not a single RCPD officer that's just driving around every day of his 40-hour week, trying to catch somebody with marijuana. Like it's not happening because they don't have the time or the ability to do that. The amount of stuff that happens on a day-to-day basis, is alarming. I don't know how else to say that. And so seeing these guys go from like call to call where they could have just went to a really horrible accident, to the next call where they're helping somebody whose bike got stolen, and their ability to change their mindset from that accident to now what they're working with there, and still be professional, still do the things that they need to do and show that respect and show that dignity to that person. It can be challenging at times, but they do it. And I feel like they have a really good support system between each other, and being able to work through that. I mean, just like every single call that they have, if the officer on scene has questions or concerns or isn't sure how to handle it, like they're staffing it. They're staffing it with their peers, they're staffing it with their supervisors. If it's a mental health call and I'm not out there, they're staffing it with me saying like, hey, what else could I offer them? And I just feel like there's not very many situations where officers aren't taking like the extra step in making sure that they're doing the right thing. I mean, without a doubt, there's officers on the force right now that I would rather work mental health calls with, because they make it easier. There's ones that are harder, absolutely. But I think as time goes on, like some of those people that were really hard to work with 3 years ago are some of my best ones that I work with now. And so I think every single one of them, even if there are some struggles, like as long as we know them, like we have the ability to like grow from those, and figure that out.
One thing Bryn mentioned, I just wanted to comment on, is that she talked about support for each other. And one thing that's changed tremendously over the years, and especially in the last couple of years, is our peer support is so much better than it ever was before. And we're just now kind of learning what the effects of what Bryn spoke about. Bad calls can accumulate and can do a tremendous toll on you, your physically and mentally and stuff, and that can sometimes lead to just a bad situation for officers that are continuing to work when they're carrying that baggage. And we have, it is amazing how that has changed. We have a peer support team that just started here a couple of years ago, and it's tremendous. And they do a great job at reaching out regularly to officers, just to be there for them and to acknowledge, when those bad calls come, and that there is a toll to be paid sometimes, and that you have to work your way through it. Critical incident debriefs, that Bryn knows we've done a lot. We've done more of those in the last 5 years than I did in my entire career up until that. There's no doubt about it. I had a call years ago that bothered me for a long, long time. And I realized when we started doing debriefs that there was other people that I worked with who still were bothered by that call. And we actually did a debrief and spoke about it with a counselor that facilitated it. And it was on an incident that had occurred 12 years earlier, but we all got benefit out of it. And so, it's amazing what you can carry around. So my point in saying this is, when you're getting that support and you're feeling like that there are people there for you and that care about you, it makes you healthier, and it makes you in a better place to go out and deal with these bad things that come up and stuff. And it's just acknowledgement that anything we can do to make our physical and mental well-being as good as possible leads to good service, we hope, on calls and in the field.